Welcome to Open Mind Podcast. My name is Jeremy. If you are passionate about continuous learning and improvement throughout your life, this is the right podcast for you. Please make sure to share, like, and comment if you like it. Suggest guests on the comment sections and questions as well. Thank you. Today with Heather Barber, the founder of Achievement Consultant, a service offered to help small brand and businesses to succeed and grow. On top of that, she's also a serial entrepreneur, a keynote speaker, a business owner, a college professor, a coach, and a workshop leader with over 22 years of experience. Did I leave anything behind?
Oh my gosh, I've done way too much. But thank you for that introduction.
All right. So Heather, do you mind telling us more about who you are, what you do?
What I am, what I do. Okay, so my name's Heather Barber, and I started my companies when I was 23 years old.
Okay.
I now have 5 companies, and I know a million ways not to do things. So I'm hoping to impart some of that knowledge onto the younger generation.
Oh, sounds great. Yeah, so you've been working with people for a lot of time now. Mm-hmm. So what do you think makes the difference between a successful person and an average person? And what I mean by successful is finding the purpose of life and being on the path toward achieving that purpose.
Oh my goodness. You hit, I have a giant target and you hit right in the middle. That's amazing. Bullseye. So I'm actually writing a book on this. Okay. I just had a meeting with my editor 10 minutes ago. So what I have found to be useful in my life, I call them anchors. Okay. So if you think about a boat out on the ocean, you don't really see the currents, but the boat's going to move. Okay. It's going to drift. And if you have one anchor on a boat, then it's going to drift around that central point. But if you have 2 anchors on a boat, so it's called a Bahamian moor, so one on the front and one on the back, is it going to drift?
No.
Not as much, right? Still going to go side to side. Now, let's add one more anchor on the sides. It's called a trident moor, so it's like a triangle. It's nice and stable. A giant storm came in. Is that boat going to move? Probably not, because it's in a trident anchor case. So I have found in my life, if I have anchors, so my purpose, where I say, okay, this is what I'm about, and there are several ways you can get to there. Okay. One of the really fast and easy things to do is write your own obituary in 6 words or less. So what's really important to you? And identify those things. Gospel, you hand me my phone for a second. So these are my anchors right here. Okay, so I've got my family, my faith. This is working out and my eating, which is terrible. Mm-hmm. And I want to give 500 keynotes in my life. Okay. And so every single decision that I make is predicated on that purpose. One of those 5 things. If it does not fit into one of those 5 things, it's out. Because I want to be laser focused on my purpose, laser focused on my family, laser focused on my religion. And so you'll find that people who are successful are focused energy in a specific area. They're not, I call it the shiny things effect. Oh, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? Okay. They're very focused. Now, the vehicles don't necessarily matter. So whether you do computer science or political science doesn't really matter. Right. It's what is your end goal? When you're 80 years old, when you're 90 years old, what do you want that to look like? And then you work backwards from there by setting those anchor points in your life.
Okay, so everything goes back to purpose. I just want to add one thing about that. Because when you look at successful people like Elon Musk, what is driving him to do what he's doing now is having a purpose. Right now he's having a purpose to make life multiplanetary. That's the reason why he started SpaceX. Mm-hmm. He's launching rockets in space. If you look to people like Mark Zuckerberg, okay, he has a purpose to connecting everyone through the internet. That's the reason why is doing what he's doing right now. You also have a purpose, which
Yes.
is to educate people. That's why you are a
Yeah.
college professor.
Yeah.
That's why you have your brand that is helping small brand businesses. So how do you find that purpose? Do you just wake up in the morning and decide on whatever you want to do? Like, walk me through how that process look like.
So first you have to have that end goal in mind. And so I learned this early on. I can remember sitting there. I was, I don't know, 13 or 14 years old, and I was out on the Willow Creek Country Club, and I saw this house up on the hill. And I said, I'm going to live in that house on the Willow Creek Country Club. That's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
So that's the end goal. Okay, if I want to live there, and the reason why I want to live there is because it's close to private schools. I want my kids to go to private schools. I want be close to the canyons, close to skiing, close to recreation. Also, you're buying the community, location, location, location. So I wanted to live there. I said, okay, this is what I want to do. So how do I work backwards from there? I don't want to be reliant on a husband or a man. I need to be able to do this for myself. So I started college when I was 15.
Okay.
So I started at the University of Utah. Like seriously, I would be out there like with my backpack, like waiting for my mom to pick me up from the Union, just right outside. I started college when I was 15. I graduated when I was 18. I started my master's when I was 19. And I took over the first branch, my first branch of Zions Bank when I was 19 years old. And all of these things were going towards that goal. Now, there's a totally crazy story with Zions Bank when I realized, like, I will never work for someone because you can't get rich working for someone else.
That's true.
That is not going to happen. So I took a giant leap and I started these companies with my brothers when I was 23 years old. They were like the only people I knew. So they're my business partners. And I had that end goal in mind. I said, okay, this is what I want to do. And the interesting part about that is you start attracting people who have similar purposes.
Okay.
So like attracts like. If you are running marathons, you probably are not going to hang out with the guys who are sleeping 14 hours a day and playing video games and, that type of stuff. That's not your crew. Your crew is running marathons. You're going to find yourself surrounding yourself with people who have similar purposes, similar drives, similar goals, similar expectations. Now, that can be good and that can be bad.
Okay.
If you hang out with a crew that, is making $10 an hour and you're making $100,000 an hour, how long are you going to hang out with that crew?
Probably for a few hours and then
Then
you
that's
might
it.
consider move on.
Yeah, you're going to move on. Exactly. Yeah. But if you're hanging out with guys that are making $100 million and you're making $100,000, how long are you going to hang out with that crew?
I think forever because you want to make that same exact amount of money.
Exactly. So you're going to rise to that occasion. So that's the thing is that you are going to keep making yourself a big target for luck. You need to be in the right place, the right time, location.
Okay. So basically it's surrounding yourself with the right person that will help you grow.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, speaking of that, what do you think about taking a time to meditate on yourself and to build that connection within yourself? Because I think all of us, okay, we discover more about ourselves when we spend more of the time by ourselves. The reason why there is people living a meaningfulness life is due because of social media, for example, due to entertainment. Because at this point we are not even bored. Like in the US right now, it's hard to be bored because you have video games, you have phones. Like it's literally like hard, and because of that, you don't really spend time on yourself, getting to know who you are. You don't even know what your purpose is. Okay, that should be the first even core essence of one person's existence, because all of us are not here for a reasons. Recently, I watched a documentary about the universe, and there's a theory that stated we could not even have lived in this life. Okay, it's not just a coincidence we're living here. It's because of the reasons, and that purpose you have to find it through spending time by yourself and spending time with people who are driven by the same purpose as you just mentioned. So, do you have any thought about spending time by yourself and discovering who you are?
Yeah, well, I have a lot of theories on
Okay.
that one. Well, not they're not even theories; they're concrete evidence.
Okay.
So I'm a mother with two children,
Okay.
a 12-year-old and a 5-year-old, and there's a lot of closeness. If any of you have children, you know they're like right up in your face all the time. So pretty much the only time I have to myself, and I have a husband. The only
Okay.
time I have to myself is like in the shower.
Okay.
I'm alone. And that's honestly where I do my best thinking, where I get a lot of my ideas. I just taught a class this morning on creating social excellence. And that 15 minutes that I'm by myself, I can actually think my own thoughts as opposed to, oh, now I have to go get goldfish for this one. Oh, now I need to write this email. Oh, now, my hair doesn't look great, so let me fix it. So that time for yourself, yes, I think is huge, absolutely huge. But caveat to that, I think that putting yourself in situations where you can learn from others that are where you want to be
Okay.
is extremely powerful too.
Oh.
So I wouldn't suggest just sitting there by yourself all the time. I think that listening and putting yourself in rooms with people that are smarter than you, rooms with people who are where you want to be is extremely powerful.
Oh, okay. That sounds great. Yeah. So, speaking about that, okay, how do you think is important for a person to develop social skills so that they can increase their network? Because there's a
Yes.
saying that said, your net worth is your network.
You got it. Your network is your net worth. I
Yep.
love it. Oh, and opposite, your net worth is your network. Yes, absolutely. So, so true. It's like what we talked about before. If you're hanging out with guys that are making $10 an hour, most likely you are going to start making $10 an hour. If you're hanging out with people who are going to the NBA, the chances of you becoming a college basketball player are pretty good.
Okay.
So yeah, like attracts like. So something that I find, I call you guys the younger generation. I'm 42. So anyone who's younger than me is the younger generation. We're texting, we're emailing, we're, social media. Like you see all these friends that you have on social media, but yet you don't have any contact with them. I think those deep relationships, studies have proven to go from an acquaintance to an actual friend, it's 40 to 60 hours.
Okay.
And so if you're talking to someone 1 hour a year, that's not going to help you, right? So developing those deep relationships with the right people, with the people that can help you get to your goals, that's where I would invest my time. Now, let's talk about mentors for a second.
Okay.
Okay. So you guys are so lucky because you're young, you're ambitious, you're ready to go. Any person that you ask to mentor you or you say, can I take you out to lunch and have an hour of your time? They are going to be falling all over themselves to help you because they were you at one time. So first, don't be afraid to ask. Okay? Anyone who is in the exact position that you want to be in, I want you to ask them to lunch. Just say, hey, can I have an hour of your time? And I want you to bring a pen and a paper, and I want you to look them in the eye and write down your questions and then write down their answers. Because what they have is they've already done this. They know what's valuable, and so they can help you. And number 2 is create those lasting relationships with these mentors. They're interested in your success. Follow up. You're not bugging them. They are interested in helping you. And if you see that end goal, it's going to be a lot easier to get there. Just like if you're hiking and there's a path, is it going to be faster to go up the path to the top of the mountain or just wander aimlessly trying to find the way to get up?
It'll be great to follow a path.
Follow the path. You got it. So finding a mentor that is exactly where you want to be is totally invaluable.
Okay, thank you so much for that advice. I think that would be very, very beneficial in terms of like growing your network and also just growing yourself, becoming more professional. Because the more time you spend with professionals, you become one of them as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let's talk about one skill that is very, very much important if someone wants to succeed, which is public speaking.
Oh,
You're a keynote speaker.
you got it, my friend.
Yeah,
you
you're
got
a keynote
it.
speaker.
Okay.
Yeah, I know in life, every one of us will pass through a situation where you will have to negotiate, where you will have to clearly share your idea. So articulating is something very, very much important. Okay, as a keynote speaker, how do you if you were to go back in the past and make your way toward becoming the kind of person you are like now, well spoken, articulated, what would you do?
I would take every single opportunity I ever could to speak in front of people. So whether that's 2 people, 3 people, 100 people, whatever, it doesn't matter. Let me ask you.
Okay.
What do you think Warren Buffett's number one piece of advice is to people who want to be successful in life?
Wow, that's a quite question. I don't know, probably invest more?
No, public speaking
Public speaking, okay.
is his number one thing. The number one thing that he wants people to learn is public speaking. It is such a rare thing. It is such a rare thing to be able to be comfortable articulating your thoughts in front of a crowd. And the more that you can do that, the more you will be asked to do that. So again, like attracts like. You know, you always have that one friend who's the guy in the group is like, you see a cute group of girls and got a group of guys, and there's one guy that has enough courage to go to talk to the girls.
He's not afraid.
He's not afraid.
He's like the warrior.
He is. And then all the rest follow him over, and the next thing you know, you're dancing with a group of girls, group of guys, or whatever. That's the guy with the charisma. That's the guy who's going to go get the girls. And that's the guy who's the leader of your group. So the number one thing, oh my goodness, is I can drill it to anyone. So I have 2 daughters, and I don't want my daughters to be these shy little, things. So 3 or 4 years of age, they are expected to get up in front of their church class and give a 2-minute talk. So about Jesus, whatever. It doesn't matter what it's about. The topic is completely irrelevant. It's to get up in front of a crowd and not be nervous, to speak articulately, fluidly, understand the crowd reaction. And that's something that my kids do at least twice a year, if not more. My older one gets up in a crowd of 500 people. And so it's not, you need to put yourself in those situations. Public speaking, number one.
All right. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so articulating also starts with reasoning because you are expressing your thoughts.
Correct.
And everything is coming with your thought. So what do you think, what is your definition of thinking? What thinking is?
Oh my goodness. Okay. What is thinking?
Yeah. Let's think about thinking right now.
Wow. Okay. So going back to this anchor analogy.
Okay.
So if I'm thinking, I don't want my thoughts to be, because your thoughts become your action. Your thoughts become your words become your actions. Your actions become who you are. Okay.
Correct.
So as far as my thoughts go, I want to be laser focused on the things that matter most to me, that are super important to me. Okay? So I'm not going to play video games 9 hours a day. If my family's my most important thing to me, if I'm thinking about a new strategy or something for my video game, is that serving my purpose? No. Okay. So I think that there's a fine line between corralling your thoughts and using those for your purpose as dedicated thought time, and giving yourself permission to decompress.
Okay.
So just being like alone with yourself and doing nothing. Because there's value in that too. You don't need to be productive every single second of your life.
You have to find time to relax.
Absolutely.
To align with your inner self, the universe.
You got it.
To reason about something.
You got it.
Yeah, that's right. So something happened, okay? Because our brain sometimes tricks us. And it's called bugs or bias. So which means our thoughts sometimes have those biases. For example, when you see someone for the very first time, your brain kind of attributes personality to that person, even if you never have enough time to analyze who the person is. Okay, that's one thing our brain does regularly, normally. Yeah, so I think the same things also can happen when we think. Like when you're thinking, you're reasoning about something, but you just got it. You think you got it right, but like you completely didn't get it right.
Yes.
Okay, those biases occur in our reasoning. So how can someone develop this ability to critically think, to critically analyze every single piece of information it receives, and be able to make a rational judgment so that that decision can contribute in one area toward advancement of the person?
Okay, so that you asked me several things together. So let's take those one at a time. Okay, so it's called availability, the availability bias. Okay, I just wrote about this. Like, this is amazing. I wrote it yesterday. So there's a study done, and these organizational psychologists had very specific letters. Well, let me ask you. Okay, so the letters are R, T, V, and U.
Okay.
In the English language, and I know that English is your second language, so this is a really hard question for you, okay? So do you think that those letters occur more as a first letter in the word or the third letter in the word?
Those letters.
R, T, V, and U. Do they occur more as a first letter or the third letter?
I would say the first.
Why? Tell me some words that start with R.
Rare.
One that starts with T.
TV.
One that starts with U.
Uganda.
Uganda. That's okay. No, that's a word. And a V.
Verification.
There you go. Verification. Now, tell me a word that has V in the third spot, the third letter.
Okay. Volkswagen?
Volkswagen? No, that's the first letter.
That's the first letter. I don't know.
Okay. So the answer to that is, in the English language, those are the four most occurring letters in the third position.
Oh, okay.
So, but the availability bias is you can think of words that start with that letter. Like right, TV, Volkswagen, Uganda. I mean, you could be here all day coming up with these words. So to you, the availability of those words in your mind, your brain is picking out first letters. Okay? Because that's how you are conditioned. When you're a kid, your mom says, here's the letter A. What word starts with A? Apple. So you are conditioned from that early age. So you have a availability bias to come up with words that have that as the first letter. Okay? So here is a big idea according to Heather Barber. If we have these anchors are 5 anchors, which by the way, 5 or less, between 3 and 5 is the Goldilocks number. Okay, because remember we talked about the trident. Okay, so if you have our triangle, it's super strong. Okay, so between 3 and 5 anchors, and that could be family, religion, eating well, working out, vitality, whatever it is. Okay, between 3 and 5 anchors. If you make all of your decisions based on those anchors, you are going to get good at making those decisions.
Okay.
So when the time, let me give you an example. My husband's in finance. You have to keep that in mind as I'm telling the story.
Okay.
And my husband and I sit down and we say, okay, well, at the beginning of this year, my youngest went to kindergarten. So I all of a sudden found myself having a lot of time on my hands. And I said, okay, I'm going to do speaking and business consulting. I'm not going to go back to Queen of Raps, which is a company that I started when I was 23.
Okay.
Said, I'm going to shift careers and this is what I'm going to do. And so my husband said, well, why don't we get a nanny from 3 to 7 p.m. because the girls need to be picked up from school, brought to cheerleading, have dinner made, and then help get them ready for bed. And so we kind of thought about that for a second. And we both came to the conclusion, if family is our number one goal, is spending time with our family, creating those bonds, quantity and quality time, I need to pick the girls up. I need to bring them to cheerleading. I need to be making dinner with them. I get the girls in the car and it's like giving them a shot of truth serum. Like all of a sudden they start telling me all sorts of stuff that they're not going to tell you over a dinner table. So that is my highest priority. That being said, when you asked me to do a podcast at 3:00 on Monday, what did I tell you?
That would not work.
That won't work.
Yeah.
Because I have to pick my girls up. So I'm voting with my time. Yes, I could be making a lot more money. I could be doing a lot more things from 3 till 7 p.m. I could, be doing dinner meetings or this or whatever, but I need to take engagements that get me home. Well, not get me home, get me to the school to pick up the girls at, 3:30. So I need to stop my engagements at 3:00.
So all the decision is based on your priority
You
list.
got it.
Okay.
Now here's a little nugget for you.
Okay.
Priority, there was no plural to that. When the word priority came out, there was no plural. Priority,
Interesting.
singular,
Okay.
meaning your highest purpose.
Purpose.
That's literally what it means. We meaning, American culture, in like the 50s and 60s is when that was changed to a plural, priorities. So really, we should have one priority. You have too many priorities, you can't do any of them. You have to keep laser focused on what your purpose is, what you want to do. And the more that you keep laser focused on that, the easier it is going to be to making those decisions. Just like the more that you practice words that have R in the third position, V in the third position, you are going to be able to come up with those words. Because there are a lot more words that have those letters in the third position than the first position. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make
Okay.
sense. All right. So learning to think that way, we also help you increase these skills, which is problem-solving skills. Is one of the needed skills in every single workplace. They're not
Yeah.
gonna hire you if you don't have that. Do you know why?
Why?
Yeah.
Do I know why?
Yeah.
Oh, I
I'm
know
asking.
exactly why. I'm a
you-
business owner. I mean,
Yeah.
these guys are gone. So this is a true story. This happened to me, I don't know, last week. So I own a printing company, a commercial printing company. And I was printing some giant signs for a play that my daughter was in. And they're big, long. They were long this way. And I asked one of the employees to go put them in my car. Okay, so I have an SUV, so the car is long this way. It's more hot dog than hamburger, okay? So it's more lengthwise than widthwise. And he opened up my back door, and he said, oh, well, they're not going to fit. They're 2 feet too big. And I said, why don't you think about that again? And he said, no, they're not going to fit. Okay, what do you think the logical solution would be?
Give me the situation one more time. Tell me more about this
Okay,
situation.
so he has a board like this
Okay.
going into my car. He's putting it in the back seat this way. I have a really long car this way. Which way should he put the board in?
You should try the horizontal one.
Lengthwise, yes. Exact, and there's more than enough room. I have a giant SUV. It totally fit. So he's 18, 19. I said, why don't you think about that again? My face is on the side of the building. I sign your paychecks, and you are telling me that this board is not going to fit in my back seat. What is a better solution to this? And he could not come up with it. Literally could. I said, flip the board 90 degrees and slide it in. And he goes, oh. Okay, so I don't know how long that guy's going to be around. He's going to need a lot of attention in order to get these problem-solving skills up to par. But everything is adaptability and problem-solving skills. Nothing's going to go the way that you plan. We walked in this room today and that light didn't work. So our awesome friend Josh here brought a real light. I mean, that's problem-solving skill right there. That's adaptability right there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you came in and this light wasn't working, you could have just said, well, I guess we can't do it today.
No.
No. Because you use this to figure it out, right?
Yeah, so what is the fastest way or like one of the practical ways to increase that problem-solving skills?
Okay, so that's a really good question. And my answer to that is pattern recognition. So I see you're wearing a nice jacket today.
Thanks.
We're in Utah. It's snowing / raining. So this is, good thing to have. And a nice warm sweater underneath.
Sweater, yeah.
Now, in July, is that the outfit you would put on?
No.
What would you put on? July in
shirts.
Utah.
I mean, a shirt and a t-shirt and a shorts.
T-shirt and shorts.
Yeah.
Why?
I want to enjoy summer.
You want to
The
enjoy
sunny
summer.
day.
If you have a wool sweater on and this jacket on, you would die in Utah heat in
Yeah.
the summer. It's over 100 degrees, I don't know, 30 days, 20 days, whatever it is, a year. That's a pattern recognition skill.
Okay.
Okay, so you know that winter is cold, spring is going to be a little bit warmer, and then summer is going to get hot. Okay, so those pattern recognition skills, if you use those in your problem solving skills, so if you are building a clothing brand and you want to sell swimsuits, is Utah the place to do that?
During summer, yes.
Half the year, right?
Yeah. But
Okay.
not during the whole year.
Not during the whole year. In fact, I would venture to say that 9 months a year in Utah, you could not wear a swimsuit outside.
Yeah.
Now, if we were in Miami and you had a snowboarding company selling snowboard jackets and pants, is that going to work?
You're not going to make any profits or any
You're not going to make any money.
No one is going to buy.
No, but a swimsuit company makes sense in
Miami.
Miami, exactly. So it's pattern recognition. You recognize that the seasons are going to change. You adjust accordingly, and you use those to problem solve. When you get up in the morning and it's July 1st, that turtleneck is nowhere to be seen. You just have your shirts and t-shirts out. Your t-shirts and your shorts out, and your flip-flops. You don't have your jackets and your sweaters. So use those pattern recognition skills, and you can train your brain. You can do Tetris, you can do Sudoku, you can do so many things to train your brain for pattern recognition skills. But that's honestly the way to solve a problem is pattern recognition. I've seen this before. I know what to do. Next time I will do this.
All right. So, yeah, everything goes back to training your brain to recognize pattern and make decision based on relevant information or data that is available to you. Well, that's great. Jeff Bezos, when asked a question about death, he said something really, really much interesting that will lead us to our next point. He said, yeah, I think of death as something that is motivating me because the idea of dying makes me want to do something. When I'm not there, they can talk about my work or something that I did. So like the idea of living give us more purpose to live.
Agreed.
Okay, and that's because you know you have a certain time to manage. If we were to live forever, probably would be one of the laziest
Oh,
civilization
absolutely.
ever in the
Yes.
universe.
Yes.
Okay, so is that be a idea attached to time that give us more purpose? So how do we manage our time more efficiently uh, to make a good use of it?
I feel like you've read my book, even though it's not out.
Oh, really?
Because I actually just had I died, literally. I had an infection and my body went into septic shock right around Thanksgiving. And like 2 months ago, 3 months ago. And while I was in septic shock, my heart rate went to 300. And the doctor said, I'm going to need to stop your heart because otherwise it's going to explode. And normally I'm like, freaking Lance Armstrong. I'm like 30 to 40 beats per minute. And now I'm at 300. So I'm at 10 times the output and my heart was going nuts. And so I sat there and they pushed this medication in my IV and I can just see the walls closing in around me, like getting dark. And they stopped my heart. And so it was so surreal though, because I was completely at peace, totally at peace. And I was okay with dying right at that exact moment because the other alternative is for my heart to explode. So we had to do this risky procedure in order to try to restart my heart. So I felt completely at peace, and I felt like I had been preaching these anchors for years. I've been giving these keynote speeches. I've been preaching all this stuff. And when it came down to it, when my life was, in danger and this far away from the veil, that I felt like I had lived in accordance with my purpose because I had defined that purpose and I was okay with dying.
Okay.
And obviously my heart regained. I had an emergency surgery, blah, 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 blah. Here I am sitting on a podcast, 3 months later, no ill effects. But it like lit a fire underneath me. Like Hamilton, in the play Hamilton. Why do you write like you're running out of time? I feel like that now. I feel like I need to disseminate this information that's in my brain, get it out there so other people can use this information that I have spent years making these mistakes and learning from, because you don't know when your time is going to come.
Yeah.
I could walk out of here today and get hit by a bus. I mean, anything could happen. But I think the key is keeping to those anchors. What are the things that are most important to you? And that availability bias, having those factors, every single decision that you make is on those anchors. Does it serve this purpose? Me picking up my kids at 3:30, Monday through Friday serves the purpose of making my family my number one priority. Me traveling for 20, 30 weeks a year does not serve that purpose. So therefore, I need to spend, if my highest purpose is actually my family, I need to spend more time, quantity and quality with my family.
Okay. So that idea of death makes you want to spend more time with those loved ones and do something else.
And the things that are important to me.
Oh, okay.
So if you were to ask me to do this podcast 4 months ago, I would have said, yeah, I'm not going to drive down to UVU. That's 30 minutes from my house. There's no way. Like, what's your audience size? What, let's get serious here, But now I have a different perspective where I, even if I am on a podcast and one person hears, like, mission accomplished.
Okay.
You know, it's a very different paradigm to look from.
So it changed your perspective.
Yes.
Even like your core value and your purpose as well. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. So, speaking of purpose, people will have purpose. They will do something, and you will fail couples of time. So, what would you say to people who stop right when they fail?
Oh my goodness. It's like the guy bringing the board out to my car. Can't do it. Can't do it. It's not going to fit. Okay. Well, it is. It is going to fit. What I find is that we're afraid of failure
Okay.
because it's uncomfortable.
It is.
It's uncomfortable to admit I failed at this. I was wrong. I made a bad decision. I made a bad call. We went up the wrong trail. Okay, now we're going to have to backtrack and go up this trail. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so taking that first step is the hardest thing. It's really easy to stay in your comfort zone. It's really, really easy because you know what that feels like. Even if it doesn't feel fantastic, you know what that feels like. It's like people that stay in a bad relationship. They figure that this relationship is better than no relationship. The devil I know versus the devil I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And so as humans, we're programmed to be comfortable. If we touch a hot stove, is our hand going to be comfortable on that hot stove?
No.
No. So what are we going to do?
Remove it.
We're going to remove our hand. So we want to remove the pain. We want to get rid of the pain as soon as possible. We want to get rid of that discomfort as soon as possible. That is our natural inclination. Our ancestors, if they were in a cave or where they were outside the cave and all of a sudden a lion ran at them, they're going to go in the cave, seek comfort, seek refuge.
Yep.
That is our natural instinct. It is unnatural, and that's the difference between humans and any other creature on this planet, is that we can say, all right, if this lion is coming at me, I can go up a tree. I can go over here. I can get on top of it. I don't have to go back to the cave. There are other things that I can do. I can problem solve. I can see pattern recognition in these. I can use my wits to help me. And it's not comfortable. It's not fun. Failure is not fantastic. And believe me, I have failed so many times. I fail all the time. But then I know what not to do again. Let me give you an example of that. My cute little 5-year-old, I brought her to church the other day, and I did not notice that she wasn't wearing underwear. And by the end of the second hour, I was bringing her home, and I noticed, and I was like, oh my gosh, did you just go 2 hours at church without underwear on? And she said these words, and I quote, "You didn't tell me to do it. You didn't tell me to put on underwear." I'm like, that should be step one. You get up in the morning, you put on underwear. Like that's the pattern to follow here. That is how to keep sanitary, safe, all of these things. You should be wearing underwear. That is just how it goes. But it hadn't clicked in her mind as to why that would be important in her life. Either that or she was just being, a ding dong and didn't care about doing it that day. So that failure of me as a mother not specifically saying, hey, make sure you have underwear on, I learned. So the next Sunday, I said, do you have your underwear on? And she said yes. And then
before even stepping out.
Before stepping out. Exactly. So I asked the question. I knew what to look for. I had failed getting her dressed the time before. This time I wasn't going to fail. Now I'm happy to report she's never gone to church sans underwear ever since, because I'm now asking the question. It's now on my radar. I learned from that failure.
Oh, nice. Well, Heather, thank you so much for taking the time to be on my podcast. We talked about finding your purpose, becoming more articulated, managing your time and prioritizing what is important for your life. Yeah. So what could be your advice to younger generation
For a younger
at the
generation,
moment?
yeah,
There is literally like an explosion of technology.
yeah,
We have AI doing crazy things.
yes,
AI is becoming more of a
yes.
human. Yeah. So what are some of the advice you give to younger people, especially college students, like things to do or to learn so that they can become more professional, just as you?
You are very fortunate to be in the position that you are in. COVID was a huge disruption to the entire world. The last disruption to the entire world was World War II. And post disruptions, we see unbelievable growth. The 20 years post disruption historically has been just upward growth. And so, just like you and I were talking before the podcast started, and I have to brag on Jeremy here for a second. Okay. So, Jeremy and some other people were working on a project to take handwritten records and how would you say that? Translate them to?
Build a model that is able to recognize handwriting.
There we go. Built a model to recognize handwriting. So, like Family Search uses it, like on a christening record that's handwritten, they can take those handwritten records and rather than physically, manually data entry, they put them in, use an AI model to do that. That's an unbelievable advancement. Literally, like 5 years ago, do you even think that would be possible? No one would even.
Oh,
It's unreal, though. Now it's like in practice.
yeah.
It's crazy. So we have an unbelievable amount of growth. For the next 20 years, you're going to see this. It is just going to be exploding everywhere. And I think the key is to learn as much as you can about the things that are most important to you. There are going to be so many things that are new and interesting and available to you that you can incorporate into your purposes, into your what's important to you, what helps you towards your goals. I mean, you guys are in an unprecedented position. It's just I envy these younger generations because I grew up in the 80s. You know, we're like Pop-Tarts and Ding Dongs were like the coolest thing. Now, you know, you guys have so many opportunities. So many resources and use them.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for watching.
And are we editing this? Okay, scratch all of that. Okay. I'm going to give another. Okay, so ask me the question. Okay, so pattern recognition skills. But, and I forget where I was going with that one. What were we talking about again? What were we just talking about?
We're just talking about like failure.
Oh, failure. Okay, failure. So, edit all that out, Josh. Here's the. Here's
It would take you off
and go.